Salesforce represents a $1 trillion plus ecosystem. I mean, we are talking about Salesforce as an ecosystem is bigger than many industries. Like it's by itself, it is bigger than many industries.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Leads to Growth. As y'all are starting to pick up from me here, I'm excited to have another guy on this podcast. I'm excited to have the girls on the podcast too. And I've been looking for some of the ladies here. So all you women of sales, this is a call out. I want you on this podcast. But today I'm stoked to have, and this is why I choose my guests. I hope y'all realize this. I pick the people that I want to talk to because I know that y'all want to hear from these people too. So today we've got Mr. Salesforce, Bradley Rice here today. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I think Mr. Salesforce maybe that's something that'll catch on. We'll see. This could be the beginning of something great.
I'm starting it. Also, he's the host of the podcast Salesforce for Everyone, and just really a great resource for these tools. And anybody going into sales these days. Salesforce is obviously a bit of a player out there, and so having somebody that can introduce you to this beast and do it in such a beautiful way that he makes it fun, makes it enjoyable, and allows you to stack some credentials on you as well. Bradley, you're really doing a great job out there, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we can, like you said, enlighten the audience to maybe some opportunities that they didn't know were available. I think to me, that's what it's all about. It's that we've been over here working in the space for 10 plus years and we know how awesome it is. And people look at it and they go, that sounds too good to be true. There's got to be a catch. And so I think we're just out here trying to evangelize and let people know that, you know what, it sounds too good to be true. It's not though. It's just a reality. And why not give it a shot and see what happens?
You know, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And, it's very easy to say, that salesperson is lucky. They got this deal. They're lucky they fell into that job. No, they prepared. And then they seized opportunities. And did they succeed at every one? No, of course not. They failed at a lot of ones, but they were resilient and kept moving forward. And I think this is the great thing about sales. Bradley, first off, what got you into sales? That's always a good question. And listen, and a lot of our guests are not salespeople, and they use sales in every aspect of their lives. We all are aware of this. So tell us how sales has influenced your career and what's got you to this place of one-stop Salesforce training shop.
So I'll try to dispel or demystify sort of what Salesforce is and why you might be interested in a career in this platform. So what the name of the company is Salesforce, right? So that's the platform. That's the tool that you use. However, Salesforce was initially created as a platform to help streamline and automate sales processes. Mm-hmm. Now, that was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Over the last 20 years, we've seen the functionality expand rapidly. So now Salesforce is a platform that streamlines the business processes for everything from marketing to nurturing to sales, support, human resources, and everything in between. Really, if you think about all the business processes of any business, that's what Salesforce facilitates. And so when you think about what is integral to a business, like what does every single business need in order to be effective? And that is having a one-stop shop like Salesforce that they can go to that tells them everything about their business, from which billboard got us the most leads, which website got us the most leads, which podcast episode or YouTube video or TV commercial got us the most leads, and how well did those convert, all the way to, were they warm leads? Were they easy to sell to? Once they purchased our product, did they typically want refunds? Were they easy to support? Were they people who understood the product well? And then in the future, were we able to upsell to them in a way that they enjoyed our products? They wanted more of them. They wanted other products that we sell. It facilitates all of that. It automates all of that. And the really cool thing about Salesforce is it allows a business that, say, is making $1 million in revenue every year, and they have 10 employees, to scale up to be making $10 million in revenue every year and not need 100 employees. They might only need 20 employees. So because of the automations, because of the scalability of these processes, you don't need to add a person every time you add a customer. you can do this in a much more efficient way. So as a Salesforce professional, you are facilitating all of those employees. And it used to be that they needed to be sales employees because that's what Salesforce was for. But now it's really grown past that. You're facilitating the back end tools for marketing, support, sales, and really anyone in between.
And it's, it's such an interesting package right now because there's so much software going out there, right? Everybody's got a platform, everybody's got a tool. It's almost overload, right? And I think it's something that's actually a term for this, where it's too much technology and people going too many places and start stealing their time. The big bang for the buck that you have utilizing, which is the biggest challenge for all software as well, is utilization. I've heard that only 50% of the full capacity of most software is utilized. Yeah. Under 50% of the full capacity. And so a lot of times this was because, oh yeah, well, they have a tool for that, but it's not that great. Oh, they have a tool for that, but it's not that great. Excuse me 1 second, the puppy. He gets excited sometimes, We just want to make the fun here for us today. Be flexible, right?
That's right.
But the idea is that now technology's evolved so much that a company like Salesforce doesn't have a weak area. They don't have like, oh yeah, we do email marketing, but we're not that good at it. Or we don't have all the tools. They've just evolved so much. And these big players like HubSpot and Salesforce are giving you the opportunity to keep everything in one place, which is, as you scale and grow, you'll find is such a valuable asset to be able to find all your tools and all your resources and have all the data collected in one place, because just data collection is a whole industry on its own. Why? Because everybody's using all these parts and pieces to bring them to one place, whereas Salesforce is like, no, we made the place already for you.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. And I think if people could really conceptualize how important that is, because a lot of times as consumers, all of us are consumers, and then many of us are on the back end of businesses, sort of like operating the business itself. But we're all consumers of some type of product.
Absolutely.
And so I try to make this analogy of why Salesforce is so pivotal to a company. And because when Salesforce came in, I believe it was in the late 90s, 1998, 99, Mark Benioff starts this company. And by 2003, it was worth about $20 billion. And by 2020, it was worth about $200 billion. And now in 2022, Salesforce represents a $1 trillion plus ecosystem. I mean, we are talking about Salesforce as an ecosystem is bigger than many industries. Like it's by itself, it is bigger than many industries, and people don't realize how big it is.
It's like the Google of software for businesses, right?
That's right. Yeah. They refer to it as CRM. Yeah. Customer relationship management tools. And a lot of people don't know this, and they shouldn't. It makes sense. But the reason it's such a big deal is because think about how much of a game changer it was when smartphones were introduced mainstream to consumers. And that's exactly what you're talking about, because a business has so many little pieces to the business. And consumers have so many little pieces to our lives. Like I'm going to pick up my phone right now and I'm just going to unlock it. And so what I do on my phone, yeah. And so we look at our phones, and it used to be that a phone was good for sending a text message to a friend, family, maybe business partner. You can make a phone call. That was about it. That's about all you could do. Now, the groundbreaking piece of this is now I'm looking at my phone. I can get on any social media platform. I can learn to play guitar. I can have games for my kids. I can have games for me. I can check on my personal fitness, my bank accounts, my investments, and all of the family pictures all in one place. Do you realize what a game changer that is for our personal efficiency and productivity to live our lives? It's incredible when used properly. Ooh. That's what Salesforce is for businesses. And if you're in the back end of a business or you've started a small business before, you realize what a big deal this is. You've got your website, you've got your marketing tool where you're going to store emails and send emails to people. You've got your spreadsheets where you're probably keeping up with your customer or lead information so you can make calls and see who you've called. You've got your calendars and activity logs. You've got a Gmail or an Outlook account for the personal emails you're sending back and forth. Hopefully you've got a tool over here where when somebody
B2B platforms that you're open on your screen at all times.
Exactly. And I could go on with this for days. Like if you're a small business owner, you've probably got 20 tabs open for everything you need. Salesforce created the first ever, all right, get this, the first ever app store. And a lot of people would go, no, 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 hold on. No, that was Apple, right? Apple created the first ever app store. Salesforce created the first ever app store. It's called the App Exchange. Actually did it, I believe, 3 years before Apple and Steve Jobs did. So much so that Mark Benioff, the founder of Salesforce, actually had to give Steve Jobs the domain appstore.com because he already owned it, because he was considering using that name, but opted for App Exchange instead. So you can look it up, but it's a fun story to show you that when you look at as a consumer, you would say game-changing products, game-changing thought leaders, Steve Jobs, Apple. When you're in the business world, game-changing products, game-changing thought leaders, Salesforce.
Absolutely. I mean, the event that they put on alone is beyond. And so let me get to the I think a lot of people have this image, and it goes, I'm gonna go to the event as well, because it's too much is what people say, right? You can't even begin to experience it all. You can't even begin to appreciate it all. And it's very interesting that the synergy relates very much to people's hesitancy with Salesforce. Mm-hmm. It's just too much. I don't know. I'd never begin to be able to utilize or appreciate the value of this. And this is those who are smaller businesses looking to make that jump, right? Those who have got themselves into that bigger world and are like, all right, now we can take this to the next level. And they're starting to look to take all those little bits and pieces that they have out there that they strung together with tape and straws. And now they're like, all right, it's a leap for us. What do you tell somebody like that? And I would imagine this is a part of your origin story. But what do you tell somebody that's like, look, how do we even begin to utilize and appreciate all the tools and benefits of Salesforce? It's the same way. How do we even begin to appreciate and check out Salesforce, the event? Where do we start, dude? And how do we make that jump from where we are to that behemoth and allow it to be the behemoth that it needs to be?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's tough because Salesforce is, if not the most expensive, it's one of the most expensive back-end tools for a business. And to your point, if you're going to pay for something, you want to get utilization out of it. And I would say if you're utilizing 50% of what Salesforce does, you're probably in pretty good shape because it just does so much. Because it can do anything. Like going back to the App Exchange or the App Store component of it, it's like all powerful because today it can be a sales tool for you. And then all of a sudden you install an app and it's processing credit card payments, and you install another app and it's managing your HR team, and you install another app and now it's doing e-signature. Like it can do anything there's an app for. And we know there's an app for everything, then it can do it. And so that's what makes it so incredible. Now, if I'm looking at a business owner or somebody who maybe is working in operations at a business, and maybe they have some, pull with what tools are being used, why Salesforce, and how do you figure out whether or not to use it? If you go to Salesforce and you get an account executive or a salesperson on the phone, obviously they're going to sell you on all the bells and whistles of it and how it's going to be so amazing. Now, the reality is Salesforce professionals, people like me, are some of the highest paid tech professionals in the world. And it's because we facilitate the use of a tool that can exponentially change your company. And that's valuable. So when you look at an investment in Salesforce, you're probably looking at about $100 a month per user who's going to use it. All right. $100 to $150 a month, just depends on which features you're using. Baseline, about $100 a month. So if you have 10 people who are going to use it, you just want to get started slow. We call that like a crawl, walk, run methodology. Like let's start by crawling, 10 users, $100 a user, $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. Now that's where people get confused because they're like, okay, $12,000 a year. All right, to scale my business up, cool. I think I can do that, but hold up. Now you need a Salesforce professional to really help you utilize this properly. If you're going to get a full-time employee, 40 hours a week, someone with no experience, and these are the kind of people I help, the people with no experience, no tech backgrounds, no college degrees, entry level, expect to pay them about $70,000 to $75,000 with no experience. You're going to have to continue to grow them and train them when they get there. You want somebody with some experience. Most people put on a job description 3 years. Want somebody with 2 to 3 years experience. It's going to cost you about $100,000 to $120,000 for that individual. So now that's where the cost comes from, right? You went from $1,000 a month to an additional $10,000 a month to have somebody on staff helping you. You can hire a consultant going rate. You find somebody freelance, kind of hard to find somebody credible. You can do it. Freelance consultant, you might pay somewhere between $100 to $150 an hour. You're going to need them at least 10 hours a week, especially when you're first getting set up. So I would say expect to shell out, probably $25,000 to $50,000 a year, just getting somebody 10 hours a week. If you want a consultancy to come help you and like actually put a project team on it and get you off the ground, expect them to do a project no less than 100 hours. They're going to want like a piece of work to work on, 100 hours at least $200 an hour. So get ready to shell out $20,000 for 100 hours of implementation work. So that's your cost. It's not in the product, even though the product is expensive. It's in the labor and what goes into making the person makes the platform effective, not the platform itself. It takes both.
Wow. That's a huge, mic drop or aha moment for a lot of people out there. There's two things to hear out there. There's the one side of the coin to hear is, oh, wow, it's so much more expensive. But the value that comes on the side, tell us about the value. What's the difference between somebody who goes out there and thinks they can figure it out and gets to run, as opposed to somebody who brings in somebody to support them?
Yeah, I think it's truly, it's the person who is no longer at this point in their business. They know they've got a business that has incredible potential. My product is incredible. We serve our customers exceptionally well. When I look at our employees, especially those who are the leadership in our employees, they're all stars. Like they are world-class. We've got the team, we've got the product, our customers are happy. All we need to do is scale this thing up. But I don't want to hire another 20 employees to make that happen. I want to be able to get 10 times as many leads and not hire 10 times as many salespeople. Now you bring on, and now look at that. Like, let's say you've got 10 salespeople and you want to double your customer count. For a typical business working off Excel spreadsheets and basic like software as a service tools like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or whatever else is your marketing solution, you're going to have to double your sales team to deal with doubling the number of leads that are coming into a system so you can work with them. Introduce Salesforce, retrain those employees. That's what that money is going to cost you. Retrain those 10 employees, double your lead count. I'll bet by the time you're done with it, you're going to realize you probably only need like 7 salespeople because everything is streamlined. It's automated. They're only calling the hottest leads. You're automatically identifying the hottest leads out of those. So you're not just calling people who are like, I don't really know why I even filled out that form. You're calling people, they're clicking, they're engaging. They went to the checkout page on your website 2 days in a row. You scored them based on that. You gave them a call while they were on your checkout page because they're interested, and you closed the deal. That's who you want to be calling. That's what Salesforce does for you when you implement it correctly. And for me, Salesforce is an amazing platform, but my advocacy is be the Salesforce professional. Like use Salesforce at your business. Cool. Be a Salesforce professional. Go make $70,000, $75,000 entry level. 2 years into your career, be making 6 figures, working fully remote, sitting at home in your home office, hanging out with your kids, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, doing all the things, making 6-figure income with no college degree, no tech background. Just walk in here and get it done because there is a huge talent gap. And so you hear about all the benefits of Salesforce as a tool for businesses. You flip the coin over and you go, hey, maybe I want to be the Salesforce professional. Who's that guy or gal that's making 6 figures with 2 years experience, 70,000 entry level, working from home, actually respected for their skills because they're a commodity. That's where I would want to be. And the really cool thing about Salesforce jobs is that they're not industry specific. I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in automotive. I've worked in manufacturing. I've worked in software, cloudware, all kinds of different companies. It's not industry specific. Why do you care? Why do you care about that? Well, number one, it makes it as close to recession proof as you're going to get. Why? Because when mortgage industries are falling and certain industries are taking hits, you can pivot. You don't have to learn a new skill. You can take your Salesforce skills and pivot into a new industry. It makes you basically recession proof as long as and industry is surviving.
Woo! This guy's a salesperson, man. Wow. I love it. I love it. No, and it makes sense. Like, it's like, yo, it's the shovels, the guy selling the shovels, right? When the gold rush happens, someone's got to sell the shovels, someone's got to sell all the other pieces. And with a behemoth like this, it's like you said, you're not hitching your trailer to a train that's going to stop running anytime soon or stop being needed. And because of the industry variation, you're really building yourself a great piece. And here, what the part you said I really loved is that you're appreciated and valued, because the more effective you are, the more successful they are at appreciating the money that they're already spending, which is different than a marketing person. A marketing person is going to come in and say, hey, let me help you get that new thing. That's why they're always like, marketing doesn't do anything. We got those deals on our own. But this is something, money that they're already spending. Like, help us, Matt. We're losing money right now by not being able to put these pieces together and be able to operate smoothly. We know we're losing money. Help us not lose money anymore. Yeah. And I think that is such a huge different perspective. So, dude, how did you find your way into this?
Yeah. So, good question. When I went to college, right? In my family, it was like, look, if you make good enough grades to go to college, you go to college. And there was that thought of, that's what makes a family, the next generation, more successful, is that they can afford to go to college. They have the means to go to college. And if you can, you go. And so when I was coming out of high school, or, even going through high school, there was never a second thought. It was like, what am I going to do when I graduate and I'm 17, 18 years old? I'm going to go to college. And there was never a second thought. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew a 4-year degree was it, and something. So I come out of college and I'm realizing, I'm seeing the writing on the wall as I'm graduating. And I'm going, you know what? I don't really know what to do. I've got no leads. I really don't have any direction as far as actually applying this degree to getting a paycheck. And part of that's my fault. And part of that is a bad sell on the part of the college ecosystem of, pitching us that this is a marketable thing we're going to have. It's going to make us all this money because we have it. It's going to put us far beyond our peers who can't access, this particular thing. And
fractured system for sure.
Yeah. And you come out of it and you realize, like, oof, man, I should have maybe read the stats, because I don't know if that's 100% true or even close. So I come out and I don't know what to do. So I end up actually going to I looked for a job for about 2 months. Got 0 interviews because I didn't know how to search for jobs in the modern job market. Didn't know what that looked like. I was applying for jobs, taking advice from my parents, who the last time they looked for a job was 25, 30 years ago, right? Like, I'm asking the wrong people for help. And I ended up just applying for anything and everything. And I got an interview for a company that needed a junior Salesforce administrator. I had no idea what that meant, but I was applying for everything. And when I say everything, I'm telling you, like, everything. I didn't care if I knew what it was. If you were going to give me a paycheck, I wanted in.
Yeah.
So I got in there and I had some really great mentors, and they were like, look, dude, like, I don't know, maybe you tripped and fell into this, but I suggest you take what you got. Yeah, it's an entry-level job. This is not a job. This is a career. You can do a lot with this. Long story short, because I tend to tell long stories, but long story short, I go from entry-level $35,000. And that's because I didn't know how much people were supposed to get paid. I didn't have people like me talking about this. So $35,000 entry level. I worked there a year. My manager's manager brings me into his office and says, hey, I'd like to give you a raise, $46,000. And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. $11,000. That's almost a 30% increase. So I went to my manager and he's like, how'd it go? And I'm like, he gave me a raise, 46,000. And he's like, that is absolute garbage. You should be making at least $70,000. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And so he's like, dude, quit your job. I'll help you find another job. My manager tells me to quit and helps me find another job. Sure enough, $70,000 is what I'm making. And so like I said, great guidance, people who actually cared about me, not me as an employee, me as a person. Went from there.
I want to put a push pin in something you said too, because it's beautiful. One, you were hungry, right? Yeah. Someone's always looking for someone. You're good at a job if you're out there being hungry. Trust me, you'll find a way, right? But it takes resilience. One, two, he took that first job and maybe he didn't choose it this way. He chose it for the paycheck, needed the paycheck, right? But then someone gave him the perspective to say, this isn't a job, this is a career, right? And every job should be treated that way. Every first job you get is an opportunity for you to grow, become more, and then take that brand, that thing that you built, and take it on to put it on the market to the next level and see where you can get it the next time. This is how everything should be taken. And far too often we take that first job, all right, here I am, this is me now, and then we define ourselves based on that first job for the rest of the time, as opposed to us leveraging the jobs to grow and become more and build ourselves as an asset, which is what you did, Bradley. And I love that.
That's it. I mean, that's career coaching at its finest right there. Your entry level job is not your dream job. Your dream job comes once you treat your entry level job like it's the only job you want. And then you grow, you get better. And guess what? Then you're qualified for your dream job. So get the.
Woo, that's a hot one right there, man. I like that.
So I consider myself very fortunate. Was it a hustle? Absolutely. Was it great mentors? Absolutely. Was there maybe some luck, right place, right time involved? Sure. But I took advantage of the opportunities I was given, and I tried not to let them pass me by. I'm sure there's 1,000 opportunities that passed me by and I never realized it, but I latched on to some that I saw. And 35,000 year one, year two, 70,000. All right. So get this, year 310,000. Okay. And I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, making great money at that point. Year three, I'm about 24, 25 years old. At 27, my daughter was born, and I said, you know what? I'm quitting my full-time job. I'm going to take a part-time job as a Salesforce professional. There weren't any part-time jobs listed. I had to go hustle and find one, right? Like I had to look up local companies in my area, figure out which ones use Salesforce, and then reach out to them personally and say like, hey, I know you don't have a job posted.
Little account-based marketing there, huh?
Yeah, that's right. And I said, look, I know what I am really good at what I do. I'd love an opportunity to show you how I can work 20 hours a week and get that 40-hour-a-week job done. And I'll prove it to you. Give me a 2-week trial. I'll prove it to you. And so I went out there and I hustled for it, and I got it. I got the opportunity. Again, fast forward, by the time I was 28 years old, I made $225,000 working an average of 15 to 20 hours a week as a Salesforce professional, managing my own set of 3 to 4 clients at a time on the side. My clients enjoyed my work. 2 of my clients stayed with me for over 5 years. That was until, in my early 30s, I was positioned to retire because I didn't continue to buy more stuff and get more houses and bigger cars and all this stuff. I was pretty frugal. I had rural East Alabama, Great Depression grandparents, and that's where my family came from. And so we didn't necessarily, we saw stuff as like a fear. It was like spend money is a scary thing. Like just save it, just save it. You never know what might happen. So by the time I was in my early 30s, I had enough money that I could just put that money in an index fund, maybe get a small 4%, 5% return and live off of that for the rest of my life. But I wasn't done working, right? I was like, okay, there's more I can do. Like, I'm so excited. I have so much energy, make hay while the sun's shining. I'm healthy. I've got an ability. I've got the energy. Let's go make hay. And so I thought, what can I do that's more productive than just trading my time for money? And I thought, I'm really fortunate to have been in a position where I didn't know what the hell I was doing at 22 years old coming out of college. And by the time I'm 32, 10 years later, I can retire. That doesn't make any sense. So what if I go help other people who are saying, I got certified, but I can't find a job? Are there really any jobs available? I can barely make ends meet, paycheck to paycheck. There's inflation, there's layoffs, there's recessions looming, like all these things we hear about. And I thought, man, I had it good. I wonder if I could educate other people on how they could have it good too, and at least try to introduce them to the opportunities that exist.
I love it, man. I love it. And make hay while the sun shines is something my grandfather used to say all the time, man. So
Yep.
that one hit me. And it's beautiful, and it's so funny. It is it's not a very spoken about niche. And I also just really love that you brought your values and you've grown your values. I think I hear that in you as well. Is that, no, we were this way. We looked at spending this way. We might be growing from that a little bit now. Those are some old values that got us here, right? And maybe our values are now evolving a little bit more as we move forward. And I think that's another beautiful thing for people to understand as well, is that like who you are today, yes, it's beautiful and amazing, and it shouldn't be who you are tomorrow and the next day. Like this world is, we're here to grow, we're here to evolve, we're here to learn, we're here to become more. And I love how that's shared in your story all the way, Bradley. So sorry, so someone's out there. So what's the market like out there for Salesforce service industry? I mean, what's the market out there like?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can look around, right? You can sort of go look at the stock prices of different publicly held companies that are competitors of Salesforce. Go look at Salesforce's quarterly return numbers. Go look at their market share in the CRM space. As far as Salesforce as a company goes, they are just on a massive growth trajectory, and that's been true for about the last 20 years.
No, and I'm actually talking about the industry of which you're training people for.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
okay.
that's where you were going. Okay, yeah.
Well, no, you're right. I was headed in the wrong direction, but I would say that they're similar topics, right? Because the
Exactly. Yeah,
success of Salesforce uh, as a profession, as a Salesforce professional, is strongly aligned with the success of Salesforce as a company.
yeah.
And to the point that I was almost making, which was headed in the wrong direction. But Salesforce has been on this massive growth trajectory, and if you go look, you can just Google, do your own research, right? Like, don't listen to me. I mean, please listen to me, but also do your own research. Go Google Salesforce projected jobs 2022. Salesforce forecasted new jobs 2022. This is what you're going to find. There's mixed reviews. In the next 4 years, you're going to see numbers as high as 13 million new jobs being introduced to the Salesforce ecosystem in the next 4 years. 13 million. You might see some arguments that say it's really not that high. It's closer to like 8 or 9 million new jobs that might be introduced. Either way, we're talking about 8 to 13 million new jobs introduced in this space in the next 4 years. And you might go, yeah, well, that's forecasted. And that's like, maybe that'll happen. All right, fine. Go look at how many jobs were introduced in the last 4 years then. Having 8 to 13 million new jobs in the next 4 years isn't really that big of a deal when you look at the last 4 years and see that's just status quo. That's the norm. Millions of new jobs every single year. So the doors are wide open. I mean, for the people that we serve, like the people we help get into tech jobs, this is what we see. Anybody, we've had part-time Walmart shelf stockers, truck drivers, prison guards. We had a student land a job. He was 17, opted out of high school in 10th grade, over $60,000. We had a kid, he was 17, just finished his senior year of high school, trying to figure out if he wanted to do college full-time and work on the side, or do work full-time, do college on the side. Opted to work full-time as soon as he got that $75,000 job offer at 17, his senior year, making $20,000 more than the average college graduate and saved 4 years of his life. So when you look at these stories, I mean, we've seen people make pivots at 60 plus years old, and they're like, look, I'm just trying to do something for the next 5 years. I just want to skate through. Working from home would be awesome. I can hop in the RV. We can travel while I sort of bridge the income gap a little bit. Cool. Do it. We've had mid-career switchers, everybody in between. Bottom line is, over the last 12 months, we've personally helped like members, over 1,500 people land Salesforce jobs. And you're looking at an average starting salary of $72,000. I believe it's right now like $72,800, something like that. You might end up with 65, you might end up with 85, but the average is $72,800 right in there. How long does that take? If you can put in 10 to 15 hours a week, it's going to take you about 5 months. I think I'm a data person. You're going to find this. I believe the actual number is 5.2 months is how long it will take at 10 to 15 hours a week, based on real data, not guesswork. You can do it absolutely for free. There are Salesforce's training materials are 100% free online. I'll give you links to those, whatever you guys need. You want to get certified. It's going to take about 150 hours to get certified. So if you got 15 hours a week, it takes about 10 weeks. You do have to pay to take the test. It's $200. But if you're part of the community groups, like Salesforce for Everyone on Facebook, there's always a $40, $50 coupon code floating around. So typically your investment to get certified is going to be about $150, $160. But after that, you don't technically need to pay for anything else if you want to do this the DIY route. If you want to do this through a program like ours, Talent Stacker, we charge about $2,200. We break that up 6-month payment plans, 12 months payment plans. The cool thing is, what I always tell people is, if you use a program like ours where we guarantee you instructor-led certification training, we guarantee you hands-on experience through volunteer projects so that you don't look like an absolute beginner and you don't feel like an absolute beginner, live workshops, lifetime access, we facilitate study groups, we help you find jobs that are a good fit for you, we network for you, we help you with your branding on LinkedIn and show you exactly what to do. We help you with interview prep, so when you show up at the finish line, you don't trip and fall. So we knock it all down, totally comprehensive. So what I tell people is, they're like, man, $2,200, I don't know. And I go, hey, check this out. You make $72,000, $2,200 is your first paycheck. That's all we're talking about here. So if I land you a job 2 weeks, if you do it yourself and it takes you a month longer than if you join this program, you lost money, because you could have had 2 paychecks by then. And the first one covered the entire program. So now you've got lifetime access. And to me, it's a no-brainer, but obviously each person is in a unique position, and even paying $2,200 over a 12-month period may not be feasible. And I get that. So we facilitate tons of free resources. You can find all of those talentstacker.com/free. All of our free resources are right there. Do your thing. If you don't want to pay for anything, you're just one of those people who's like, I'm going to do it myself. Do it yourself. More power to you. We're still here to help.
Value leads, money follows. We always say, Bradley, and I see you live that way. This is the great thing about successful companies, and you want to know who to work with. It's the company or the person that's going to tell you exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it and what you need to do in order to make it successful. And then say, go ahead, you can do it on your own, or you can do it with me. Mm-hmm. And this is how you know your worth. The person that says, I'm not going to tell you until you pay the money, don't trust that person, right? They're out. And the person says, don't worry, just sit back, I'm going to take care of it all for you. You don't want to work with that person either, because you'll be paying them for the rest of your life, right? Mm-hmm. And so the way that you bring things to the table is just beautiful, and this is how you know you're successful, right? Because one, Bradley had a plan right after he retired, and he was like, well, what was your plan when you started this biz?
Yeah, when I started this business,
yeah,
I wanted to well, I didn't need revenue, right? Because I was in a position to not need money anymore, which is a really strong position to be in as a startup business. But I had a goal, and I said, I want to do
real quick. I want to go. How did he get there? He didn't have spendy habits. He didn't go spend a ton of money on location, living in the middle of the city. He got to a place where there was less distractions. He stayed with his humble beginnings until he got to the place where he knew he had already appreciated the value of appreciating more in life. He didn't spend the money first. This is what got him there. This is a huge part of this story, y'all.
Yeah, I do. You're right. I've always had an invest first mentality, because I know the power of sort of that compounding effect, whether it's money or it's skills or it's just, talent stacking, where that's the thing. It's where you get all these skills and these talents.
Stacking. I like it.
And you've now diversified your skill set so that you can level up from there, and you put in the work early, and then you get to leverage all that work later. The same thing with investing. Save, get that money in early. For a lifetime, you get to utilize the compounding effect of those skills and that income. But yeah, I mean, we went from, that point of starting this business. I knew I wanted a tangible effect. And I was like, well, what would that be? All right, look, if I can make $5,000 a month, I'll be considering this a success. Like, that'd be too cool to start a business, not needing money, and make $5,000 a month. And you can do the math, helping 1,500 people over the last year, $2,200 a pop. Like, it made more than $5,000 a month. We'll put it that way.
I love it. It's beautiful, but it's how he proposed it. He didn't say, hey, I got to make this money. He said, how can I add value doing the things that I love and get to the place of where I can earn X, Y, Z? Bradley, you really are an analytical thinker. Your mind, it works in a unique way. And I love that you put yourself out there as that resource for other people. I'd love to find a way to, we definitely got this podcast, so we're going to share all this information with our audience, but to definitely introduce, maybe even get a blog from you, something that we can get some content around where people can really go back and find this data, this information. Because I know a lot of people in our audience or in our membership are, getting the certifications to learn to stack those skills, right? They're like, all right, great. I want to not only take a sales job, I want to know that I have all the skills and the understanding to be good at sales and then to continue to grow in sales. And that's what our certifications do. And so a lot of them are looking to, they're in that mindset of stacking as well, but all of them are in between careers, or as we talked about, they know that they're not in their dream job yet. So getting them opportunities like this is because this is where the economy and the market is going. Like, you'll work 2 or 3 jobs and you still won't work a 40-hour week, but you can do this now, and people can gig out and you can change your life. You can take a year and travel, as you talked about, Bradley, and lower your clients a little bit, but not lose your career. And I think we're getting to more of a life is more important, and that just comes so beautifully weaved throughout your story.
Yeah, 100% agree. To me, I think I take my job personally. I guess I consider this a job now. It's sort of like a passion hobby job, but people are like, why do you take it so personally? And I go, you know what? Careers are personal. Like when the number one cause of divorce is financial stress, that's personal. When people identify with their jobs, you shake hands and you meet somebody new. What's the first question they ask? It's like, hey, my name's Brad. Oh, what do you do? Careers are personal. We identify with those careers. They resonate with us. They say something about who we are and what we know and where we fit in with society. The stable financial footing that our careers give us allow us to have healthy relationships, healthy eating habits, healthy mental health. Like there's so many things that our careers impact. And when you commute into an office every single day and you work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, if that feels good to you and you feel healthy doing that, that's awesome. That's great because we're all different. But if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel natural, if it doesn't meet sort of what you're looking for as a person, that doesn't make you lazy. That doesn't make you weak. It means you should open yourself up to other opportunities because there are other opportunities and you should look for them instead of just staying where you're at. And I had a student, my students teach me, more than I learned from anyone else. And I had one lady, she told me, she said, choose your hard. And what she meant by that was I could stick with my job. I could stick with my commute. I could stick with the career path that I'm on. I'm not happy. It's going to be hard. Or I can challenge myself. I can learn something new. I can put in the 5 months. I can invest a little bit of money, and that's going to be hard. But at least I'm choosing what's going to be hard in my life instead of just letting it hit me over the head.
I love that. That's just absolutely, and believing it's possible. It all starts with believing it's possible, believing you deserve it. I think you said, I this couldn't be possible for me, right? I think a lot of people are like, no, I'm supposed to be a worker. I'm supposed to be an employee. This is all I deserve. And that's where we're really going to snap this one. Break that pattern now. If you believe you want more, you deserve more. That desire is not in there for any other reason other than to inspire and move you. So take the risk. Life is all about taking these beautiful risks. And like, as Bradley said, jumping on the coattails of the largest B2B SaaS platform in the world is not much of a risk either. Well, Bradley, thank you so much, man. I love your story, man. I love your vibe and your energy. And honestly, on this call a couple of times, I was like, man, I need to spend more time with this guy. So we're definitely going to connect again, and we're going to share. So where can our audience follow you, find you, all those good things?
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, but if you want to send me a personal message and get a response, I do respond to everyone. I look at the virtual world as a real world because it is the real world. Like on the other side of those profile pictures, real people, real lives, real struggles, real joy, like all of it comes with it. If you message me on LinkedIn, that's where you can find me, linkedin.com/n/Brad Force. And we'll link that up, but search Bradley Rice on LinkedIn. You'll find me. It's like this bright orange background picture. Like you can't miss it. You send me a message. I'm not saying I'm going to get back to you within an hour, but I promise I'll get back to you within a couple of days. I do respond to everybody. If you want to find like quick tips, we hang out on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much any platform you're on, podcasts. We go by Salesforce for Everyone. So Salesforce for Everyone podcast, YouTube channel, TikTok channel, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. We're there. Yeah.
My man, busy, busy, busy bee, bro.
You stay
Yeah,
busy in a good way. Yeah.
yeah. You see, he stays busy with that smile on. That's what it's all about right there. All right, y'all. Make sure that look, if you're looking for a new career, check it out. Have a conversation. If it just inspired you, tickled you a little bit, I mean, reach out. He would love to have the conversation with you. And this is this is the start of you believing that something's possible, right? It's not always going to be the first thing that you jump on. It's not going to be the second thing always, right? It might be the third. But if you believe it's possible and you start taking those risks, I promise you, you'll get to where you want to go. So let this be a little practice run for you, even if you want to. All right, y'all. That is leads to growth for us today. Bradley Rice, thank you so much for being here. Talentstacker.com, y'all. We'll put all the links down here. You know, Mr. Salesforce, as we started the call off with. But thank y'all for joining us. Make sure you put all those stars in there. Give us a nice review and click subscribe. We'd love to see you on the next one. That leads to growth, y'all, with NASP. Have a great day.